Hi, guys, and welcome to episode 8 of Moving Picture Massacre. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a movie from 1986 that we have watched for the first time today-ish. And that movie is Toby Hooper's Invaders from Mars, a super fun Mars movie. This is actually a remake from a movie in the 50s and which I haven't seen that either. And now I definitely feel like I should go back and watch that. Have either of you seen that?
No.
No.
Is
Yeah.
it same title?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We are terrible people and did not do our research. So we will all watch that and maybe leave a little comment or something on this video about what we thought about that one as well. But yeah, 1986, just before all of us were born, right?
Yeah.
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 Super cool movie. I'm going to read the back of it so we know what we're going to talk about. And the classic 50s Cold War sci-fi horror film is transformed into a monstrously gripping modern special effects tour de France. It says tour de force, but I feel like it's not supposed to be. I always thought it was France, whatever. Director Toby Hooper of Poltergeist and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 and 2 fame brings his uniquely spectacular vision to this masterful new version of everyone's favorite alien invasion tale. See, now I feel bad that it's everyone's favorite and I've never even seen it. But I digress. A courageous young boy battles the hideous Martians who have taken over his parents and who now threaten to subjugate the entire planet. Also caught up in the terrifying action are Oscar winner Louise Fletcher from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Karen Black from Easy Rider. Truly unearthly creature design and makeup techniques blend with the astonishing special visual effects of Academy Award winner John Dykstra from Star Wars. A breathtaking, pulse-pounding science fiction mind blower. And it says mind blower. That's funny. That's stupid. But half of that was an actual description of the movie, and the other half was just bragging about the special effects and who we got to work on the movie. And so I think that's kind of ridiculous that they put that on the back, that you couldn't even get most of what actually happens. But realistically, that is pretty much it. A little boy sees some Martians show up. They take over his parents and they try and take over the world, and he thwarts their plans like any little boy action hero should do. By the way, my name's Tom. I'm here with Ricky and Matt. Guys, Ricky, I'll let you start. What did you think about this movie in general?
I'm pretty indifferent on this one. It wasn't something that I absolutely loved, but I also didn't hate it. It's just kind of one of those middle of the road, one-time view movies. But I had high hopes just because it was Toby Hooper, but I wouldn't necessarily say it was a letdown because I didn't hate it, but it definitely wasn't on par with his Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Salem's Lot, Poltergeist. It wasn't on par with those, not even close. Matt, what'd you think?
I'm kind of on this, like, just the same side as you. I'm just indifferent about it. I didn't hate it, but it's not something I'll probably ever watch again. Like, I won't take it to movie night and be like, everyone has got to watch this movie. It was fun though, in a sense. Like, they talk about the special effects person on the back of it. I thought they were pretty good in some instances. There were others I was like, I'm not feeling that so much. But it is a little disappointing that it is Toby Hooper and we didn't get, something a little bit better. But I guess for the time and it being like a Martian movie and trying to adapt space to technology and stuff now, it'd probably be a little bit more difficult than if they did it, in present time. But yeah, I agree with you. I think I'm just on the fences. I liked it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
I probably am right there with you guys, to be honest. This actually was the second movie that Toby released the same year. So in 1986, he released this as well as Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. So there definitely, I know, is a shift between which one we like more out of those two movies. And I feel like if he might have went as goofy as he did with Texas Chainsaw 2 with this, it might have been even more funny. because I feel like it's one of those movies you definitely will enjoy more with a crowd, especially a crowd of people you know. Like you said, thinking about taking it to movie night or not, you might enjoy it even more watching it with your friends and being able to pick apart those little stupid things, things like that. But yeah, overall, it was okay. The creatures were pretty cool, things like that, but I'll go into that in a minute. So, Ricky, what stood out to you throughout this movie? What was super cool to you that, you'll remember going forward?
Oh man, that kind of threw it why I was indifferent, because there really wasn't anything that just really popped out. It's like, man, that was great. That was awesome. There wasn't really that moment for me. I mean, there was little things, like for example, at the very beginning when him and his dad are laying down watching the meteor shower in the yard, and the kid's like, "Holy shit!" I was like, first of all, my mom would have smacked me in the mouth if I would have told her like that in front of her. I was like, man, I would have gotten backhanded so quick. Then another one thing that it kind of I was setting myself up to be let down was when they first show him at school, and what do you know, more fucking frogs. I was like, no, don't do it again. Don't send us down a frog hole again. We already did that with Psychomania. But luckily it was just a very minor part of the movie. Matt, anything that really stood out to you that you really loved about it?
I'm a fan of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and the movie The Faculty, and this kind of had a lot of the same similarities, where they would, send people to this place and they would come back with this thing on their neck, and it was an indication that these people had been taken over. They'd been brainwashed, or there was an alien living inside them. And that kind of it threw me back to those movies, and then even more into The Faculty, which came way later. It came in the '90s, where they take it to school and they start going through the school trying to infect people too, take over this like small town. I enjoyed that aspect of it. Like Tom said, and I'll let him talk more about it. I enjoyed some of the practical effects with the aliens, the monsters, stuff like that. The set overall, when they go down into the tunnels and you get to see the alien set, I thought that looked good too. But there was a lot of stuff too that like happened special effects wise. I just did not care much for. Um, and there was some kind of weird like characters that were, I guess, depicted as heroes in this too, that I was like, this is more on the odd side than it is anything else. But yeah, that's nothing stuck out to me that was, over the top where I loved it, or just so bad it made me laugh or anything like that. It was just, it was a sci-fi movie that happened to have things in it that other sci-fi movies did, and I enjoyed that.
That's fair. I think the part that I enjoyed the most would be the creatures, or the Martians, that you would call them. Just the designs of them. They're wacky. They're not super like scary or anything like that by any means whatsoever. But they were super cool, and I did some digging on them, and excuse me, there's actually a cool little extra, like it's about 20 minutes or so video behind the scenes on creating those guys. They're Stan Winston characters, and they're made out of polyfoam because they're so large. If they were made out of foam latex, they would be way too heavy, and someone couldn't be inside of one of them, and you wouldn't be able to move it around. Would not work whatsoever. So they're made out of polyfoam. The main overlord, or whatever you want to call him, looks like Krang, really, to me, from the Ninja Turtles, with like a weird tail. So he's like, it's like a Krang body, and he's like got this weird tail that just goes into the wall forever. And so they were neat. They were cool to look at. That's probably the only thing that stood out to me the most. If I was to go in and say some things that made me laugh and were kind of ridiculous, was some things that I noticed was the kid at the very end of the movie, which, if you have not seen the movie, I apologize for what we're going to say, because you're going to know exactly how this movie ends. At the very end of the movie, the child wakes up, and the most frustrating thing to me was that it seems like the entire movie was a dream. And I don't like that whatsoever. That really threw me at the end, and I didn't like it. But right when he opens up his window to look outside because he saw the Martians land again, right when he just woke up from his dream, and he's already wet, even though he opened it up to rain. So you know that they shot that more than once and just didn't dry that kid off yet. So I was like, you fucked that up pretty bad. Because that kid was either like sweating profusely in his sleep, or they did that shot like 3 times and then decided to use the third take when he was soaking wet already before they opened the window. So I thought that was funny. A couple other things. When the 2 NASA employees died, that were taken over by Martians, they had the best possible like overacting I may have ever seen in my life. Them just falling on the ground and flailing around and everything. It was fantastic. The the general in the military is played by the same actor that is in Return of the Living Dead. He's not the morgue owner, but the what's that place? The
Is it like
is that
the
place?
is
In
it
the
the place
warehouse?
where they have Tarman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not the kid, but the older guy. I can't remember his name. He's also in the second Return of the Living Dead, which is the strangest, like, weird remake. It's such a Evil Dead 2 situation between those movies, and I never realized that until much later in life. But anyways, he is a fantastically bad overactor, and he does it the entire time in this movie too. And that whole time, it made me laugh. All of it, all of his acting made me laugh. The teacher that is taken over by Martians, and she just yells the child's name all the time. David Gardner, repeatedly. I'm like, oh my god. She gets eaten accidentally somehow by one of the Martians, like falls into its mouth, and then he's like, oh, whatever, and just eats her when she in turn was taken over by a Martian. So I thought that was pretty entertaining. I don't know if I'm taking everything, but that's what I found entertaining and what I liked about the movie. Did either of you find anything that made you laugh out loud?
Yeah. When they run onto the sand flats and the stupid like turbines kick on and suck them into the ground. That for some reason I was like, I think that this could have been done a little bit better, because it took a while. I thought like they just started spinning and it's like watching a vortex all of a sudden just kind of slowly open up and like eat these people, and that made me laugh. And they just like keep sending people onto this. It's like trying to send people out into a landfill, or not a landfill, like a landmine field without detectors. They're just like, just go out there. Something weird's happening. And I guess did everyone who went like left and then came back with the thing on their neck? Did they all just like fall for that same trap? Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna walk out on this sand flat because I've not been out here before, um, and that just happens.
Right.
That made me laugh for some reason. I was like, people just are just repeating the same mistake throughout this entire movie. This should have maybe happened to 1 or 2 people, and then even when they seen it happen, it still continued to happen after it. So yeah, that made me kind of chuckle just a little bit. I guess I didn't like it necessarily too, but at the same time, it's typical for a movie like that. People just do the same dumb thing over and over again, until someone decides, yeah, it's a bad idea, or the movie ends. What about you, Ricky?
I got a couple of things that were kind of gave me a little chuckle, not necessarily like a laugh out loud moment, but just things that gave me a little bit of a giggle. One was when the nurse, Karen Black's character, and David go down into that little like boiler room basement area, and the cops come down there and find them. When they're like, "Don't worry, we're here to help," and they give this fucking creeper smile and just pull out their pistols. They're just like, I was like, what the fuck was that? But that one gave me a little bit of a chuckle. The next one was the dad, whenever he hands over the bomb at NASA, and he just deadpan, like not trying to make a pun at all, but it was obviously a pun when he's like, you just might blow it. But he like has no personality with it whatsoever. It's like, be careful, you just might blow it. It's like, so that one, and then the last one is the last one that kind of gave me a little bit of a giggle. At the climax when they go down into the hole in the sand, and all these Marines have the rope, and when the guy gets down in the hole, it's like a 4-foot hole. Why the fuck did you need rope for that? Like, he's standing in the hole, and like it's just like another comparison to Psychomania, just like the grave situation. Like, his head sticking out of the top of the hole. Why did he need a rope to get down there? I was like, I don't know what the hell that was. That was poor planning there. It should have been like a 20-foot hole if you're gonna do that. But yeah, I got a couple other things on my list, but I'll hold off on those. Tom, you got anything you want to add to it?
I don't think so. I'm curious what else you have. I don't want to wrap anything up if you got things that you hate. I can't necessarily say that I hated anything. Again, there were some things that were kind of dumb, and it's I don't know. I don't know how much work he put into this movie, but there's definitely some not so great things. But again, it's whatever. So tell me, I want to know what else you have.
Okay, so just looking through my list again while you were going through your little spill, I got, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3 more things I wanted to bring up. But one would, I guess it would kind of be considered a chuckle moment, was whenever the like investigator scientist guy was like, no, don't shoot him, and he walks over to talk to the Martians, and he's like, just calm down there, boys. And that one soldier's like, how does he know they're boys? It's like, why does it fucking matter? You're sitting here dealing with obviously intelligent extraterrestrial beings, and you're worried about what gender they are. Just shut the fuck up and let the scientist do his thing. Another one, a moment kind of bothered me because it was extremely, extremely predictable. When the nurse and David go back to the school initially, and he runs to his locker and grabs his jacket, I was like, oh, that penny's going to be super relevant that his dad put in the pocket at the beginning. And then at the end, what do you know? The penny is extremely relevant. So I was like, that was pretty predictable. And then one thing that really, really bothered me, I get it. They did it for fucking dramatic effect, but the last 3 seconds of that bomb took like 2.5 minutes. Like, they keep like going back and forth between the timer and the people, and it's the timer's actually quite on par. But then those last 3 seconds, it was like 2.5 minutes. Like, his parents are rolling around on the ground trying to wrestle with him, and they show the spaceship floating off and everything, and then it's like, oh, now there's 2 seconds. It's like, but that was just like a minute of dialogue. So that kind of bothered me. But another thing I wanted to throw out there that I just thought of while we were going over everything, that, like, because Tom, you had just mentioned that you didn't know how much effort Toby had put into this movie. I think this would just be my guess on this, but I don't think he had all of the freedoms that he would like on this, because I noticed at the beginning the movie's rated PG. So I don't think he had a lot of freedom to go in the direction he wanted, because most of his other stuff that's great, like, Poltergeist was PG, but Poltergeist was very, very well written compared to this. But yeah, I just don't think he had the freedom to work with it and do what he really wanted. But yeah, that's about all I got on my list. Oh, wait. No, it's not. I got one more. I saw it. Another one that bothered me was seeing the mom, after she gets possessed, just take a huge bite out of that raw hamburger meat that she put a fucking mountain of salt on. I was ready to gag on that one. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, I was really wondering how she pulled that off as an actress. Like, what was the consistency of the meat to begin with? Like, what was that made of? And no matter what it was made of, that pouring of it had to be salt. I don't know what else you could put on that look like that. Sugar, maybe? But either way, like, putting a mound of that on anything and putting it in your mouth has got to be disgusting. She held that together really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about all I got on my list.
If we're talking about things that we didn't necessarily like I still have a couple of those. For some reason, like all like alien like spaceship landings for me, I don't understand why they have to land on the other side of a hill. That happens like in every alien movie. I feel like you see this nice path and the spaceship will land on the other side of it. And sure enough, someone will always walk that path and something will happen. And it doesn't matter where it's at. They always have this way of making it look like, oh yeah, that's not very dangerous at all. And I guess if you like if it was in his backyard, you would be like, okay, he's probably used to it by now. But why would the dad go back there anyways if he didn't believe his son? And that happened, and then that's when he got taken over. Also, that teacher that you brought up, Tom, when that boy climbs in her van and you see all of that stuff in there, like there's like dead animals and cages, and there's probably weapons of some sort in there. Who let her be a teacher, and who let her bring that van to school? I mean, yeah, this is the 80s, but I still feel like there were rules back then. Like you can't have weapons on campus in your room or your van. And that van was full of some weird crap. Like I feel like she would hand out candy in that van and put kids in those cages. Um, and then there was something else, and I kind of when you find out she's the one catching the frogs, like that lady is old as she is, and someone's letting her go down. And frogs are fast, especially in the water. Can you imagine this lady down there with a net trying to catch all these to like satisfy a class full of kids on project day? No. I mean, it would have been better if she was like, yeah, these were donated from, a local college or someone other than myself caught these. But I'm picturing this lady down there with like waders and this big net, and she can barely walk trying to catch these stupid frogs. Uh, and then bring them to school in her dumb kidnapper van.
That's a whole deleted scene for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, those are all kind of things where I was just like, all right, this is stupid. Um, I overall didn't like her character much at all. Like every time I saw her face, I would just get mad at her, and then even more mad when I'd hear her voice, like when you're talking like when she screamed David, and it's like, oh my gosh, like please. And it was kind of satisfying, I guess, when she got eaten. So yeah, those were like my top complaints, I think.
Yeah, the her getting eaten was probably the most satisfying part of the entire movie after dealing with her for the first half of it. If I was to talk about anything that I really disliked about the movie, I would probably say it was the end. I don't like that, oh, it was a dream, or oh, it was, a coma, or oh, it was this or that. And I like did some research afterwards because it just kind of pissed me off because it was a dream, but you don't know if it's a dream because okay, here's the end of the movie. The kid wakes up and he's like, oh shit, it was a dream. Then all of a sudden, he sees something out his window. He opens it up and he's soaking wet with God knows what, sees Martians. So then he runs to his mom and dad's room, opens the door, slow motion of his face, and he's like, what? And he hears Martian noises in his mom and dad's room. But you don't see anything. Then it rolls credits, right? So was it a dream? Was it not a dream? Is he reliving the nightmare again? Who knows? But anyways, the fact that it was or looked like a dream, I did some research because it bothered me. And one thing people pointed out was a lot of the shots were lower. They were supposed to be from a child's point of view because it was his dream. We were watching what he would have seen or what he's imagining, and he's not going to see the top of his head running around in school. Everything's going to be down. And so I watched this a second time and I noticed those things. I never at all would have noticed that watching it the first time, but watching it a second time, you see every single shot looks like it was from a dolly that is someone sitting. They're all lower to the ground. There's no super overhead shots unless it's like, the pit or something like that. You know what I mean? That has to be higher. But yeah, everything was a lot lower, and the explanation there is because it's from a child's point of view or what he thinks he would see looking at it. So I was like, okay. So that kind of leads towards the dream aspect a little more, even because that's how he would see it in his dream, which didn't make me feel any better because I still hate the fact that it was a dream. So all it really did was give me some information that other people may have thought, because it wasn't coming out of Toby's mouth, and it was just kind of what people kind of put together by watching the movie. Who knows? Does anyone have a final thought before I tell everyone to go watch the movie and then we pick next week's movie, or the week after, whenever we decide to do this again? Ricky?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. A couple of things I would throw out there. Going back to the teacher that everyone hates. I did really enjoy the scene where she just hookers down that frog. she turns around and sees him, and she's just got the back legs sticking out her mouth. That was pretty good. And another thing I wanted to throw out there, because you mentioned credits when you were just talking, but the opening credits, I am such a slut for the 80s font choice and everything, and how they made it look like it was every name was a UFO or whatever. The only thing that I didn't like about it was the whoosh sound with each name. Like you didn't need to do that. But I love the font. I love the way they laid it out. It looked great. I just could have dealt without the whoosh noises.
It took so long. I sat there and I watched it. The second time around was worse, because I even had it written in my phone, was the opening credits are annoying. And I forgot about that until you literally brought that up. But yeah, it just the swoosh just took so long, and it was every single character's name, and it wasn't just like the movie title. And one that does that almost identical is Space Hunters Adventures in the Forbidden Zone with Molly Ringwald. Almost exact same intro, and it's just for the title, and then everyone else's font is fine. But this one is just every single one, and I was like, oh my god, I totally forgot about that until you mentioned it. I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, I love the font and I love the way it was designed, but like you said, they dragged it out way too long. I mean, you had like 5 minutes worth of fucking credits in the open, and that whoosh sound got real annoying real quick. I just love the font and the layout of it. That's it. Mm-hmm. But other than that, if before I pass it on to Matt, if you guys want to check out this movie instead of just listening to us bullshit about it, hop on Tubi. It's free. Just check it out there. That way you don't have to pay for anything. Matt, do you have any final thoughts you wanted to throw out there before we close it out?
I don't think so. Not really. I think we covered everything. I got everything out that I feel like I needed to, frustrating or whether I liked it or not. But yeah, he's right. It's on Tubi. Don't pay for this movie. If you find it for like $1, that's fine. But I still watch it for free.
I can't say that if you are renting the movie from Amazon that anyone that worked on this movie is actually getting paid from it. So yeah, go ahead and watch it from Tubi for free. If you can find a copy of it and it's cheap, go buy it. You know what I mean? Again, I'm sure a group of people watching this together would have a great time. I literally just went and saw the 1980 release of Alligator in theaters, and with a group of people dying laughing when like a child is eaten by an alligator is the best time I've had in a long time. Because like I've laughed at movies, sure, but I'm in a theater watching like a 7-year-old fall into a pool and just get eaten by an alligator, and the entire theater is losing their shit. Like this 40-ish, 50-ish dude sitting by himself was laughing harder than I think I've heard anyone laugh ever in my life. He had the best time, and it made me enjoy it even more. So go watch the movie with some friends and have a good time. But before we move on, again, it took us about a month or so before we filmed this one since our last video. So we're going to try and do a little bit better than that going forward. Things happen, holidays, everyone got sick. The world is falling apart. But anyways, we are going to pick our next movie right now. I know we kind of allude to that on our Instagram and stuff like that, but we're just going to pick it right now. So I've got this sweet little thing here. All you got to do is push a button. It's going to pick a movie. It's got a bunch of stuff on there that I'm not going to necessarily show you up close. ooh, it's a surprise. There's lots of movies that we're going to talk about. So you can see it, sort of, right? And let's see if I can do this with one finger. Yeah, it worked. And we are going to watch Bats.
Yeah, I think that's my pick, right?
That is your
I
pick.
just say I don't remember what I picked last time. I don't remember any of the movies on it.
That's awesome. I've never seen that movie. I think I just bought a copy of it recently, and I have not watched it yet. So I'm thoroughly excited. And it's not a super obscure movie. I know a lot of people that have talked about it and watched it and things like that. But I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I bought it just based on the cover, and I do that with a lot of stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for a good creature feature. It looks like arachnophobia to me, just with bats. So I'm ready.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna leave it to it then, guys. Go do yourself a favor. Watch this movie. Don't take our word for it. Whatever our word may be, good or bad. Watch it and figure it out for yourself. Let us know what you think. Subscribe and like the channel if you have not done so already. If you have, thank you very much, and we hope to see you guys all next time.